A very good evening and welcome to A Date with It in the Set programme 293 on the 1st of March. And indeed, happy St. David's Day, and indeed, happy first day of meteorological spring. You are most welcome whether you're listening with us live or whether you're listening on the catch-up. Good evening, James. Long time no talk, chap. Lovely to see you. Yes, indeed, as Kate skipped in there. That was indeed the rather earwormish theme music to Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. Who remembers that little gem? There he is, and there's Skippy as well. And that program originated back in 1967 with that lovely theme tune. And yeah, it was a good program. It was a good watch. That I think they made about 90 episodes of about 30 minutes, and it was set in a sort of wildlife park in America. And Skippy befriends the 9-year-old son of the park keeper, and it was always stressed in the program that Skippy wasn't a pet. You know, Skippy could come and go, and it was all about the many adventures of Skippy. Now there you go. I was just about to add that, Mark. It's a gem, Alison. You catch it on YouTube. A real gem, very memorable. That sound, Mark. That apparently kangaroos don't make that sound, but they needed a sound for the program, so they just had to invent that sound. And though it doesn't specifically say so that no kangaroos were harmed during the filming, what it does say, when I found out on the fan page, is that they used between 15 and 20 kangaroos each episode to get the shots they wanted. And in order to get the idea of Skippy being able to talk and move his mouth, they gave them chewing gum or put elastic bands around their mouth. Shocking, it wouldn't happen now. But anyway, it was a great program, and had some pretty iconic titles that begun a little bit like this. And there's at least one of those 15 or 20 Skippies skipping along. I thought it was a nice one to skip us into spring and skip us into March. Can you hear the tune bouncing along as Skippy does? It seemed a nice one to do today, as I say. And because I've been doing shorts of YouTube, of children's programs on YouTube, it's one of the ones that's coming up at some point. The music was composed by this chap, a very multi-talented performer and composer who is British actually, but emigrated to Australia in the 60s and became very famous for writing all the incidental music to Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. I can almost hear you all singing along now, but fortunately it's an almost. I can't really hear you singing along. It's probably just as well because I've got a bit of a headache going on as it is. Anyway, as I say, I hope this finds you well on 1st of March, programme 293. And a few things to reflect upon in our programme this evening. As always, if you're with us live in the chat room and you wish to take part in the chat, then feel free to chat away about the music or the composer, or the context, what you're doing, what you've been eating, all that sort of thing. We'd love to hear about it. If you're watching on the catch-up, then a lot of the stuff I say responding to comments makes absolutely no sense. In fact, a lot of the stuff I say when I'm not responding to comments makes absolutely no sense, but I hope you enjoy the music. Nonetheless, good evening, Janet. You're just in time. You just missed a little bit of Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. Do you remember that one? It's lovely to see you. Indeed. St. David's Day. Here we go. I think with a name like mine, I count as half Welsh. What do you think, brother? I'm not sure. I mean, we are technically in Hereford, only, 14 miles from the Welsh border. There we go. Anyway, bit of coffee, and do enjoy this evening's programme. Hello, Maggie. It's wonderful to see you. Yes, we have missed you. I'm sorry to hear Jerry's been in hospital. Good evening, Martin, and good evening, Jeannie. Second time today, Jeannie. How wonderful. Yes, indeed. Well, it seemed appropriate on the first day of meteorological spring to be playing You Must Believe in Spring. Who said it? Hannah. Thank you very much indeed, by Michel Legrand, Mr. Big himself. And he composed that not as You Must Believe in Spring. It came from the that was nearly catastrophic. Came from the 1967 film Les Demoiselles de Rochefort, The Young Girls of Rochefort, where that song appears as the love song of the character Maxence. There he is in the top right-hand corner, La Chanson de Maxence. And he speaks of the lost love or the love he never found. And he goes on and on and on, but it's a rather nice tune. And then when Michel Legrand was in Hollywood and working a lot with the lyricists Alan and Marilyn Bergman, they reimagined the song, re-lyricized it as You Must Believe in Spring, and it's become a standard ever since. Tony Bennett does a very nice version of it, but lots of people do a very nice version of it. It's quite odd you can't see Hannah's comments. How odd. Must be the influence of the Welsh dragon or something. Anyway, 1967, You Must Believe in Spring. So I do hope you enjoyed that one. As always, if you'd like to press the thumbs up button, it's not compulsory, but we'd love you to do it. It does help the channel. And if you've happened upon this and you are not subscribed to the channel and you would like to be, then please do. And then you get notifications about things like this live show, and currently there's a YouTube short going up every single day throughout February and March, and a couple of extra ones have gone up in the past 48 hours. It's been quite a busy week on the old YouTube, and indeed the young YouTube as well. So that was our opening one, reaching for the coffee here, and then we'll go into our next piece of music. Hope you enjoy. Indeed. This Guy's in Love with You, which, rather like Skippy the Bush Kangaroo and rather like You Must Believe in Spring, heralded from 1967. Again, it's a happy accident when things in a row all come from the same year. Just a coincidence, and purely that. But a very famous Burt Bacharach song, of course. There he is, towards the end of his life, still performing iconically, as indeed he was. Yeah, that song originally was released in the UK, but it didn't actually chart that well. And it wasn't until it was taken up by, as Auntie Ros said, the wonderful Mr. Herb Alpert, who we know as an amazing trumpeter, but he's also got a rather nice singing voice, and he decided that song, This Guy's in Love with You, rather suited his singing voice, and it was so Bacharach and Hal David, the lyricist, a song because it had an ideal place for a trumpet solo as the bridge. And the Herb Alpert version is extremely famous and did extremely well. It really put the song on the map. Andy Williams also did a version of that as well. So This Guy's in Love with You from 1967, composed by Burt Bacharach. Now I need to comment on two things. What is it? Oh yeah, do you know, I was thinking, St. David's Day. You know, when you have sort of 900 silk ties, you would think, wouldn't you, that somewhere in your collection you'd have, you know, a bit of a Welsh flag going on, or some daffodils, or a Welsh dragon, or even, you know, a couple of leeks, as it were. No, that just did not happen. Yeah, James, his voice, very special voice. It was still very much with us. Herb Alpert, married to the singer Lani Hall. Indeed, the Boston Pops. Let's not talk about them. Let's not talk about the 5,000 Boston Pops records of fathers that are stored over there somewhere, eh? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that one. Yes. What button shall I press now? So many choices. Oh yeah. So this week's shorts, I've been putting up a short every day on the theme of retro children's TV. So starting the week off was the iconic Animal Magic theme, and then we had Joe 90. And following on from Joe 90, had a lot of views on Top Cat, which was known as Boss Cat in the UK. And then we had Paddington Bear, and we had Barnaby Bear. Barnaby Bear did disastrously. No one wanted to see that. Don't know why. Poor little Barnaby. Then we had, after Barnaby, we had Rupert. And then the last one of this week was this morning, and that was the wonderful bassoon theme to Ivor the Engine. There he is, look. And it was no accident that I programmed Ivor the Engine to appear on St. David's Day. So they're all there on the channel. You can find them by going to the Shorts tab on my channel, or indeed there is a playlist. If you know, a real glutton for punishment, just press the playlist and you'll get happy and probably unhappy memories of childhood TV themes, just going on and on they'll go. So there we go. Good evening. Hello, Jean. It is absolutely wonderful to see you, and good to see. As I say, good to see you, and hope you are well. Oh, and Ivor the Engine book is lovely, James. Fantastic. Great. On to something, a little change in the program now, but something appropriate. Yeah, indeed. Solitaire from 1972, composed by the wonderful Mr. Neil Sedaka. And in fact, he did the first recording of his own song. Very prolific songwriter, composed over 500 songs, and a very talented songwriter and performer, and always one of those smiles and seemed a thoroughly nice guy. So it's always sad when we lose another of the greats. But I think Solitaire is a lovely, lovely song. And as I say, Neil Sedaka actually recorded it first. And then Andy Williams did a version of it, and he asked Phil Cody, the lyricist, to write a slightly different lyric to reflect his own personal circumstances. And then, very famously, as Jill pointed out, sorry, James, I've just seen that you wrote Andy Williams, yes. The Carpenters did a version. And Richard Carpenter wasn't that keen on a song, and apparently it turns out neither was Karen. But they altered the lyrics yet again. But their version actually charted extremely well, so that may be the version that you know. Either way, it's a lovely, lovely introspective song, and it seemed an appropriate way to pay tribute to the wonderful Mr. Neil Sedaka. So, in fact, during the night on Friday, I did put up another video. So most of the slides that you've just been watching while I was playing that are there, but I luckily found a recording that I'd made on A Date with a Dinner Set some years ago of Laughter in the Rain, another one of his magical tracks. So that's there on my channel as well, if you want a bit of a reminder about that one, the great Neil Sedaka. Okay, I'm just reading what you're saying. Privileged. Oh, I hadn't made that connection. That was the person that I very nearly did some recording with. Yes, brother. Wow, amazing. Something a bit different. It is Dave Brubeck, Maggie, but not on this occasion the Unsquare Dance, but it was, as Hannah said, it's a Raggy Waltz. Who else said it? And Jean as well. So good, Jean, you named it twice. Yes, and that came from 1961. It's a Raggy Waltz, and it was part of his Further Time Out album with the quartet, exploring different time signatures. And it's a really fun piece to play, actually. It does actually stay in 3/4 throughout, but it gives the illusion of constantly changing time signature by the side shifting of accents in different places. And of course, Dave Brubeck, being the master that he is of improvising and trying to throw his drummer off course and vice versa. Quite often he will play his right hand in 4 and his left hand in 3 and vice versa, just to confuse the situation. But it's a great sound. And we haven't had that one on A Date Within a Set for quite some time, actually. So I hope you enjoyed that one. As I say, from 1961, it's a Raggy Waltz by Dave Brubeck. Now, more than half right, Maggie, and we are so pleased to see you. Oh, don't blame poor Jerry. He's been in hospital. Oh, Jerry said the correct bit. Okay. It's fine. Tell you what, though. March the 1st. Meteorological spring. Spring is what you believe it to be, I think. And St. David's Day. I was going to say Happy St. David's Day in Welsh. I had been rehearsing it, but I've totally forgotten it. I've been thrown off course. I thought you'd be relatively impressed if I spoke a bit of Welsh, but I'm not going to now. Yeah. But also today, March the 1st, is, somewhat appropriately for a coffee drinker like myself, it's National Barista Day. Well, over in the US it is. Our friends across the pond do like to celebrate about 25 different things every day, so there's always something from which to choose. Jean, I'd never make fun of you. How's the snow down in Wiltshire, my lovely? Yeah, National Barista Day, which is one of those relatively new days to celebrate. It's only been around since 2019. But the word barista itself, the chef who makes our coffee, has been around, has been in parlance since late 1930s. And of course, it's all about espresso theory and temperature and milk frothing and the art of the pour that makes the drink. It's rather lost on me because I only ever have black coffee. But I have to say, if I do have coffee out, I am a bit fussy. And my local hostelry, about a 4-minute walk from here, it depends who's on, whether they get it right. Sometimes they're a little too hot on the water, and that can scald the coffee. Nota bene and all that. Anyway, that's what it is today. Oh, and the other thing to tell you about before we launch into our next song, if you watched the trailer before, you'd have seen the countdown. 7 weeks to go. 7 weeks to go till what? Well, what do you think? A Date Within a Set programme edition 300. I know I don't look that old, do I? 300th edition is coming up on Sunday, April the 19th. Set the date now. So at 18:30 BST, gosh, that's a nice saying. British summertime. We'll be in British summertime in 7 weeks' time. Our 300th A Date Within a Set edition is coming up. Yeah, so obviously I'm hoping that you lot, my favourite, most wonderful, loved people in the whole wide world, forever and ever, will be here. But hopefully I'm going to try and make contact with some of the people we've lost along the sort of almost 6 years we've been running, and see if they'd like to give us another shot for our special programme on April the 19th, edition 300. Indeed, a dinner date for the diary and other such delectable alliteration, brother. After that frantic raggy waltz, something a little calm again. We haven't had this for a couple of years. Do enjoy. It's a very well-known song, and I know you'll know it, so do enjoy. Mark, what are you blathering about? Anyway, the song was indeed Can't Help Loving That Man, as many of you identified, from Showboat from 1927 by the man that sat on his glasses and lived to regret it, Jerome Kern. A wonderful score. It's one of those shows that it's trickier to perform these days. It was of its time, shall we say. But a very famous song from that. It's very complicated in Hereford, isn't it? Wonderful. Can't Help Loving That Man from 1927, Showboat by Jerome Kern. And so as we move into our final bit of music, There it is. You see, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the Welsh. I had been practicing with the help of ChatGPT, but I'm chickening out at the last moment because we've got a few people who know more Welsh than I in the room. But it is Happy St. David's Day, 1st of March, and there are signs indeed of the first day of spring. Do you know, Jill, I was going to say you're absolutely hopeless this evening, aren't you? Not at all, not at all. You will recall you had a very good week. I can't for the life of me remember when it was, but it was relatively recently, within the past 7 years of A Date with Innocent anyway. So there we go. So we're going to move into our final bit of music this evening before we say good night in the usual way. Do hope you will enjoy this. It's lovely for St. David's Day. The wonderful Cwm Rhondda hymn tune. Well, at least it was until I did my harmonisation of it. Composed by John Hughes in 1907 for a hymn festival in Pontypridd. And a very famous hymn, of course, Guide Me, O Thou Great Redeemer. And great fun to play. I was lucky to sneak in to the organ of Holy Trinity Church in Claygate on Friday night to record that for St. David's Day. Yeah, it needs a choir. It needs a good lot of singers singing that. Brother, the person you are thinking of at St. Paul's School was Cameron Stenhouse, who had a fine tenor voice and sung with Father in many choirs, who used to enjoy singing along to that one. So I do hope you enjoyed that little blast on the organ for St. David's Day. I've had great fun, as always, preparing A Date with a Dinner Set programme 293 here on March the 1st. I bet they did. I bet it was hard to stop them, Janet. Once the Welsh get singing, off they go. Absolutely splendiferous. Do take very good care of yourselves in the week that is to come. And I look forward to the great pleasure of playing for you again next Sunday. Have a great week, all the very best, and good night.